What's up, ladies and gentlemen? So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about haters, okay? I'm going to try and give you an understanding of how to perceive haters, people that hate, okay? People that send messages of disapproval, okay? So first thing first, my name is Jeremiah Schwartz. I am a professional occultist, fully initiated in Kabbalah, being the Sephiroth, the tunnels of Set, and the Clip-Off being the bottom of the tree. I'm studying when it comes to the archetypes, the tarot, the 22 major arcana, also known as the pathways. And I'm also studying when it comes to planetary energies in regards to astrology and things in that nature. So this is just to give you a little bit of an understanding of who you're getting this information from. First and foremost, I am an occult practitioner, okay? So I have practical experience with all the things that I'm talking about on my channel, okay? My channel is Universal Mastery, where I break down the occult sciences and I break it down to a practical level so that you can use it and apply it in your day-to-day life using your awareness to do so. Okay, so once again, without further ado, we're going to be talking about haters. Okay, so if you want to know a little bit more about why people hate and potentially seeing it from a perspective of total understanding, then definitely this is your video, so stay tuned. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So let's understand haters, okay? The reality is there's always going to be haters, okay? There is always going to be somebody that doesn't approve of what you do, that tries to outsmart you, or at least think they're outsmarting you. Somebody that tries to push you down in regards to making it seem like you don't know what you're talking about, or making it seem like you're wrong, or making you seem uncredible. There's always going to be that type of person. Always. There is literally never going to be a point in time where there isn't going to be that type of person. And the reason why I know this is because simply, being someone who's a realist, I simply observe. Okay, I observe every person that I see that's successful in my eyes, and every single person that's successful, no matter how successful they are, they still have haters. I mean, literally every single person. Like, you ask yourself this question right now. There's people that like you, and there's people that hate you. It's just true. There's people that like you, and there's people that really don't like you. It's a part of human nature, okay? And once again, taking it back to successful people, I've always found it very interesting that, you know, when I would come across somebody that's successful in whatever field it is that they're successful in, I would always find it, like in my earlier stages of development, I would be so intrigued by the fact that, you know, this person has reached success obviously in their craft, and they're obviously getting real results with it, and yet there's still people that are hating on what they're doing, even though they're proving to the world that they've achieved success with that subject, whatever that subject is for that person that's successful. It would just intrigue me how there would always be somebody that had something to say in regards to, no, they're wrong, or no, this isn't morally right, or they think that this is good, but it's really bad. Like, whatever the case may be, whatever, you know, the hater falls in the context of somebody who's obviously upset with their life, okay? So that's what I'm referring to. So there was always somebody that would hate even on the people that I would look at as like some of the most successful people in their, you know, in their art form and in their craft. And that would blow my mind. So within time, observing this enough, I started to pick up on this sense that there's got to be something to that. Because no matter what, there's nobody that doesn't have a hater. There's like literally nobody that doesn't have a hater. No matter what you do. Remember, whatever, like you as a human being listening to this, there are people that like you and people that just don't like you. It's a part of human nature. And it's actually, there's a science behind it too, and that's what I picked up on. So, in regards to this sense, you could even say this intuition that I started to develop to see that maybe there's something to that. Maybe there's supposed to be people that doubt and people that hate. I started to realize that it's impossible to not have a hater. So that must mean that there's some sort of like cosmic law behind what a hater actually is and what their purpose is, if you're actually looking at it from an evolutionary standpoint, from a source within yourself standpoint. So, you know, as I've been growing my YouTube channel, I've had direct experience with haters, okay? Even before my YouTube channel, I've had a lot of experience with haters. But when you start to develop your brand with something that you are very well aware that it's purpose-driven, meaning you know that you came down here to do this certain thing, and this is what your soul wants to do. This is like what you're doing. It's like why you're here. Well, as I found that, because at first my whole path was different. I was going down the road of being a personal trainer. And ever since I got into the occult and I started going through high-level initiation, my entire path, the direction I thought I was moving in, completely destroyed, completely rearranged itself. And sure enough, I now have a YouTube channel that pays for everything I need. And I love doing it. And I feel like I'm doing what I'm here to do, like why I came here. This is the reason, this information I'm sharing feels like to me, this is why I came here in the first place. And that's a very powerful thing to feel when your work is revolved around that, something that's purpose driven, something that's in alignment with your soul. So once again, as I was saying, even though I've come to the realization that I am doing that thing, okay, I'm going to be referring back to myself now. Now that I know I'm doing that thing that is purpose driven for me, and that there's other people doing what's purpose driven for them, and yet there's still haters, right? There's still people that are going to hate on that. So that's obviously fascinating to me, because personally, I can't relate to that. I would never be the person that would hate on somebody else's work when I can see that they're doing something that is in alignment with their own evolution and actually offering value to others. But most importantly, in alignment with their own evolution. That's what purpose is really all about. It's about, are you doing what you're here to do? It's not first and foremost about how other people are being affected by it. That's a big misconception. People think, oh, my purpose is to change the world. I need to help these people and do this. No, it's what you need to do. It's what feels in alignment with you first and foremost, because the more in alignment you can get with that, your true self, your own purpose, the more of an impact you're actually going to have to the world around you. It's just the natural byproduct of that. So if you're always thinking like, I'm going to do it for them, I'm going to do it to change the world, you're actually going to have less of an evolutionary effect, which is a fact. So as I was saying, I found it very interesting that there's still people that will hate when you're doing that. And that's when I really, and I saw it on my own channel. I mean, I've always had people that would leave comments and stuff that were in regards to hate. And it doesn't affect me, because what I've been through in my journey and on my path, what I've experienced doesn't come even close in comparison. Like, not even, like, so tiny, it's almost hard to even tell. In comparison to what I've had to overcome and what I've had to develop within myself, to the point that another person's opinion obviously is something I'm going to be receptive to see if there's any truth within it for me. But if I feel like there's not, and I feel like it's a person who's miserable and hates their life and is taking on the archetypal role of a hater, it doesn't affect me to the slightest. Even if it's true, let's say somebody's hating on something I said or did or whatever, I taught, I believed. If it was true, if what they're hating on is even true, and I think it's true, then I will adapt myself. Meaning, if I think it was offering me value, that what the person is saying is true, and I may need to make an internal shift within myself, then I'll make that shift, and I have done that before. But most of the times, it's just people that hate themselves and hate their lives and hate everything. They really do hate the world they live in. And that's why they hate, because it's their form of expression. So as I was saying, regardless of the scenario of hate, whether it's true or untrue, it doesn't affect me ever to the degree where I question myself in regards to, should I keep doing this? Should I keep being me? Should I keep moving forward on my journey? Is this even worth it? That is pathetic to me. The fact that if someone can say something in regards to hate and it causes you to question yourself to that degree, that shows that what you are and what you're doing is not in alignment with who you truly are and what you should be truly doing. Because there's nothing, I mean, even if there was no audience, weirdly enough, let's say hypothetically the world just like, it was just me. Like some, like I am legend shit. Everyone just disappeared. Well, this has become such a purpose for me that even if everyone disappeared, I would still make videos. And I would upload them in whatever way I could, preferably YouTube, and I would watch them myself. Because I'm not even joking with you, I learn from my own videos. I'm not locked into the human form where I think everything has to be one way and it's one way only. I'm very open. I'm very receptive. I'm also very wise, very understanding, and very knowledgeable. Okay? So I'm very self-aware that what I'm doing in regards to making these YouTube videos is something that my soul within me is doing. And it's helping to shape the multiverse by people who are observing this as well and being drawn to observe my videos and observe my channel. So there is an evolutionary reason behind why I do what I do, and I've come into such an alignment with that reason within myself to the degree where it's become me. So this can be a little bit complex. I know this can be a little bit hard to understand, but basically what I'm saying is that I'm doing what is in alignment with my true self. I'm doing what I love to do. Like I love doing this and not having to work. I've worked for other people. I've been down that road many times. I've had so many jobs, and one of these days down the road, I will make a whole video explaining my upbringing, like my whole life journey, okay, from the very beginning, so that you guys can understand who I am and what I've come from and what I've been through and things of that nature, because I'm sure a lot of you can relate, and there's a lot of things you can, there's a lot of value that you could gain from that. But I'll make a video on that down the road. But long story short, I've worked a lot of jobs, like more than I can count on both hands. I've worked a lot of jobs, okay? And I've had all different types of positions, all the way from managerial positions, all the way from cleaning dishes. Like, I've had jobs where in one scenario, I'm washing dishes, and then literally a couple months later, I have a whole nother job as a manager for a sales company. I've done this. I've experienced these fluctuations within the working environment and within the corporation environment. And I love the fact, there is no better feeling than the fact that I can sit here and speak about things that first and foremost I like to speak about because I know what it's done in my life, and then see that because the things I'm speaking about are evolutionary, there's going to be people that are affected by it in a way that helps them evolve on their journey if that's what their intention is. I love the fact that I don't have to talk to some boss. I don't have any managers. I work for myself and I do what I love. And naturally, I mean, my intent, I'm not out here doing this for you. I'm not doing this because I feel like I need to change you or I need to change the world. I'm doing this because I love to do this first and foremost. But I'm very self-aware that the stuff that I speak about, because I've experienced it, will have an effect on the world around me. And I know it does. I'm very aware of that. And that's part of the reason why I love to do what I do. It's just I know that cosmic law. So the reason why I'm mentioning that is because when it comes to haters, no matter what, they're always going to be there. And to some people, they get moved by that, meaning they don't understand haters. They think that they can change haters, and they think that there shouldn't be haters. Okay? This is a misunderstanding of evolution. This is a misunderstanding of how evolution actually operates and how energy needs to flow. So there's people, and these are the same people that get the most affected by haters, that get the most affected by negative comments, negative people. They're the people that don't understand the science behind what a hater or a person embodying that hater archetype really is doing for you. Because in reality, there is a sinister aspect to it. Okay? And I'm going to tell you this first and foremost. The reason why I understand this is because of the Luciferian developments I've had within myself. So for those of you that know me, you should know that I have a very strong energetic connection with the energy of Lucifer. That was a spirit that I worked with from the very beginning of my entire journey, before I even started my initiations. And at some point during the middle of that journey, I want to say like after a year, I had literally completely embodied the energy of Lucifer. Meaning, I'm not saying I'm Lucifer. I'm not saying I'm the incarnation of Lucifer, but I'm saying I've gained all of his powers. And what that means is I've gained his wisdom, his knowledge, and his understanding primarily. And when I did that, that's when I fully understood why there's haters, why there are people that will always embody that role of hate and anger and trying to discredit you, okay? No matter how good you are at what you do. No matter how much of a real impact you're actually making. So how did I understand that? So this is what I understood. I understood it to be connected to Luciferianism, which essentially is the torture of evil to produce power. So we have Lucifer, who gets into a battle with God You could think of God as being the Yaldabaoth, which is another chaos entity. Yaldabaoth, Elohim, Enochian angels, yada, yada, yada. Lucifer gets in a battle with God, and then Lucifer descends down into hell. So he descends into the Qliphoth. Lucifer takes over the Qliphoth. Now he rules hell, and his primary goal is to destroy God. So in this scenario, with God being the Judaic aspect of how they see God, which is the Yaldabaoth, the Enochian angels, the Elohim, the Yahweh, the Jehovahs, the eagle, the American eagle, the main animal for the American flag, the eagle, this is the animal they've associated with this chaos entity. This is chaotic in nature. Okay, this is an entity that wants to cause suffering. Okay, I hope you know that. Remember, like the whole Judaic religion and Christianity is based upon selling your soul to a spirit, praying that you'll get into the afterlife, into heaven, when in reality, you're not going to heaven. I promise. You're selling your opportunity here to evolve to be shellized after death. If you don't want to believe me, don't believe me. So we have this chaos entity, and then we have Lucifer, which is another aspect of chaos, fighting. And then it gets to a point where Lucifer decides to descend, says, fuck this shit, I'm going to go. Descends from Eden, the Sephiroth, into the Qliphoth, the realms of dark matter energy, the most potent realms of dark matter energy. Now Lucifer's saying, I'm going to rule this bitch. Lucifer's like, I'm going to take over. And he does. Okay, he gets crowned in the underworld, meaning he controls the dark matter energy realms. And he did that for a reason. And the reason why he did that was so that he could fuck up this chaotic entity known as God. So now that Lucifer has control over Edom, or control over the Qliphothic realms, he's now using it on the chaos entity, being the Elohim, the Yaldabaoth, the Jehovah, the Yahweh, to destroy it. And Lucifer wins. So the idea of that, of Luciferianism, is to have people shelled so that they suffer, and the energy that they produce from suffering empowers the person who has shelled them. So when you're using Luciferic technology, you're trying to find ways to hellize and shell a certain being to cause it to suffer. And since you're the one that's causing it, the effect from that suffering is going to be brought back to the source, which is the one that caused it. So you gain energy from that, because suffering is a very powerful energy, very powerful. That's why extraterrestrial beings try to cause mass suffering. They feed off those negative emotions. Have you ever heard someone say that before? Oh yeah, this kind of person feeds off your negativity. It's the same. Negativity is powerful. Okay, this energy of suffering is powerful. Okay, so you can feed off of it. Now, when it comes to Luciferianism, the way it's been used widely across the mass collective, the most effective way to use it is to make sure, because remember, everything is at the end of the day governed by source. And source means evolution. So you can't necessarily torture something or hellize something or make something suffer unless it's evil in nature, unless it's chaotic in nature. unless it's made a deal to say, I'm going to side with chaos and go against evolution. Once something's signed that contract and made that deal, now it can be tortured. Now it can be hellized. Now it can be attacked using Luciferian technology. So the way that Luciferianism has been used mass collectively for a while now, I mean, this has been going on for hundreds of years now, is the people that have been using it understood that in order to use it, they first have to get everyone into a state of chaos. They have to turn everyone into aspects of, you could say, evil. Okay? So how did that spread? Well, that spread through religions, where the entire hierarchy of what most people refer to as God is uplining energy to the primary chaos entity, which is Yaldabaoth, or Yahweh, or Jehovah, or Elohim, or Enochian angels, or the median between them, which is Jesus. How many people do you know that talk about God and what they're really referring to is this chaos entity? You know, most people don't know what they're referring to when they say God. And then you have a lot of people that say God is a he, God is him, God is he. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Yaldabaoth, Yahweh, and Jesus. Or Father, Son, Yahweh, Jesus, and Yaldabaoth. It's chaos. The upline for this religion, which is the mainstream religion, is a chaos entity. And that connects back to every other religion that has a God being. And the people that are worshiping God don't understand what they're doing. They don't understand that this is a chaos entity. But anything that you're willingly and freely giving your soul to in hopes that you can get to an afterlife is obviously chaotic, is obviously evil. Because why would you think that you need to throw your life away here in hopes by selling your soul to something that you don't even know will help you when you're dead? To me, that sounds like the biggest con I've ever heard in my life. And the reality is, it is. Okay? The reality is that there are elites, inner Jewish rabbis, Sanhedrins, royal families, that understand this. The inner Illuminatis, you can call them. So they need to make sure everyone is in a default state of hellization or chaos by their own free will. So how many people do you know that are by their own free will giving their souls to Christ, giving their souls to Yahweh, giving their souls to the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, giving their souls to God to take care of them without realizing that they are aspects of the source? And the entire process of human existence is to actually develop that source aspect within yourself until you literally become the source, a literal vehicle, a vessel of source, where you're a walking human. You're not even a human, you're a transhuman being at that point that is an embodiment of source itself. So everything that goes against becoming source is that chaos entity. And how many people do you know that will look at you like you're fucking off your rocker if you even think that you are source? If you were to tell somebody, yes, I'm source, I am this thing that you call God, well, I am God. I am source, I'm all of this. And I've developed it within myself, and I'm trying to develop it within myself. Meaning I'm not an idiot. I know it takes lots of challenge and trial to really fully develop this ability within myself, but that's what I'm going for because I know it is me and I know it's in me. How many people do you know if they said that to somebody, the person looking at them would be like, yo, you've lost your mind. You've lost your mind. Yeah, you obviously don't know what you're talking about because God watches over me. I've given my energy and my soul and my purpose to God a long time ago, and He's been guiding my life, and I know I'm safe in the afterlife. And, obviously, if you look around and you look at the way I live, you can see that God is protecting me and God is watching out for me. When in reality, most people, and I'll even go as far as saying every person that's done this, every one of them has mediocre lives. Most of them have mediocre lives, or they're suffering mentally and emotionally. Like there's some sort of inner turmoil that's taken place. And they may not be all the way there, mentally or emotionally speaking. But that's the reality we live in, where the truth is to understand and become aware that you are, once again, an aspect of Source, and the entire purpose of spiritual path working and evolution is to become Source. Not just be an aspect of it, but to literally step into it, link with it permanently, so that you are a vessel of Source energy. Meaning you control the multiverse now. Your intent takes over the quantum wave function. Okay? So, taking it back to the purpose of the video, this was all necessary to understand, leading into why I brought this up to understand haters. Well, when it comes to Luciferianism, once again, the way to get maximum yield for it is to make sure everyone else is deceived. Make sure everyone else has signed that intentional deal to give their soul away to a chaos entity, even if they don't necessarily know what they're doing, because they're still doing it. And it goes against their intuition. But obviously, when you live in a society where intuition has been extremely suppressed, people will do anything these days. So if I can get you to willingly and freely give up your soul to a chaos entity, now I can eternally torture you using Luciferianism. So then that means I can use any of the archdemons, I can use any of the hell realms, I can fuck you up. And I can gain tons of energy from it. Tons of energy. I can strip you dry of energy. All kinds of energy. Sexual energy, money energy, complex money number energy, life force, all kinds of energy, right? Bioplasmic energy to reverse aging, stay younger, all because you are ignorant. Okay? So when I understood this, my mind was blown because I realized, whoa. I was always curious because I was working with Lucifer very heavily. And I also noticed that these inner elites and these high-level Illuminatis, like the 0.1%, it seems that they also work with Lucifer as well. And I always wondered, how are they getting results with this spirit that I'm working with, being Lucifer, and how come they're able to do what they're doing? How is this working for them? Because the way that I understood Lucifer and the way that he presented himself to me was being a spirit that is chaos and that rules chaos, but does it with an intentional purpose behind it, which was to completely destroy chaos, to empower himself. And I always wondered, I was like, you know what? I always thought that these inner Illuminatis these Jewish rabbis, these real 0.1%, I always thought that they were chaotic. I always was like, aren't they, like, for them to be doing what they're doing, to just by default hellize the entire population, that's gotta be, I mean, you can't be a source vessel of a human being to be doing that. You gotta be possessed by something. There's gotta be something running these people. And sure enough, I started to get answers on that question I had. And Lucifer was very clear with me. He said, yes. What they don't understand is that I will destroy them. They use my power, but I will destroy them. Because the more they use my power, the more powerful I become. And the more powerful I become, the more I can rip them from their positions. And I took a huge fascination in that. And as I said, throughout my initiatory journey back in 2019, it was towards the end of that year where I fully absorbed Lucifer into my energy field. I remember it specifically. I was on the beach and I did this ritual, and I literally saw Lucifer enter into my body, and I tried to unpack what it meant. And it was very profound. It wasn't like some shit I'm just thinking in my mind. I felt it. Something had came into me, and it was light. And I recognized it was Lucifer because I was doing mantra to Lucifer, calling on Lucifer. And I was following my intuition doing that. And what I recognized is that I took on Lucifer's power from that day forth. And I didn't really feel the need to really work with Lucifer anymore since that day. And that was very hard for me to understand because that was a spirit that I was... that was a spirit that I was very, very closely connected with. So obviously later down the road, the answers came to me and I figured out, oh, so that's what happened. I took Lucifer's power. And that's essentially, you could say, what Lucifer's role is in evolution. He will embody himself within certain people, and that's how he stays alive. So it's not that Lucifer's possessing me. It's more so that his spirit lives in me, so I can use it freely and willingly, which is what is, once again, the spirit of Lucifer. The hidden part of chaos that secretly wants to destroy chaos. So that's literally exactly what I've been doing. Going through the highest level initiations of Klipothic initiation, tunnels of Set initiation, with the end all goal to destroy my enemies, which are the true enemies. Not just people that piss me off, not just people that insult me. I mean the people that have tried to control the occult magic realm and use it against me. Because I've been afflicted by that since a young age. And quite frankly, I'm offended. So they've become my enemies a long time ago. Even when I was not even into the occult, I knew about these inner elites. I've always known about it. My dad actually raised me that way. I'm thankful for my dad in that regards. My dad hates the elites. My dad's a very interesting character. But yeah. So once I fully understood this concept of Luciferianism, and once I fully embodied that power from Lucifer, I started to really understand why there's haters, okay? And that understanding is simply that when somebody is hating on you, they're signing a contract with you, okay? Now, this doesn't necessarily go for everybody, because you have to have the understanding that I'm talking about to really get this energetic exchange that I'm going into right now. Because remember, there's a lot of people that have haters in it. It gets to them. It moves them. It makes them question what they're doing or who they are. But when you understand what I'm talking about, you see haters differently. So once again, what I was saying is that when someone's hating on me, I see it as the person signing a contract with me, energetically speaking. And they're basically saying, I'm infested by chaos. I hate myself. I hate my life. And I'm ready to be tortured. Energetically speaking, psychically speaking. So, every time I see somebody that hates, which there's not many, because I think people start to realize that when they do hate, bad stuff happens to them on my channel. Because once again, I've worked through the clip-off and the tunnels of Set. I've overcome Shugal and Karanzan, which is the chaos entity itself. So a lot of times people will hate on me and then they'll notice bad things start to happen in their life. And it's simply because I carry that energy of Lucifer. I rule the underworld planes. So when someone is chaotic or infested by chaos and tries to come against the ruler of these realms, then chaos attacks them. And that's usually the reason why most people don't hate on me. But when people do, it's necessary. I need them because they're producing that energy of suffering that I need for my evolution. And that's how I look at it every time. And even if hypothetically speaking, if everyone was hating on me, if I had a lot of people that had a peace of mind and wanted to share that on my comment section or say it to my face, whatever it is, great. To me, it's food. To me, it's opportunity. To me, it's energy that must be needed. If it's happening, it must be needed. So I'll observe it. I'll observe it and I will allow my power to handle that, my intention to handle that. Because I know what I've done. And I didn't always have this understanding that I'm telling you. I didn't always have this. I only got this understanding midway through my high-level, high magic initiations. And then when I fully took the power of Lucifer within myself, by the very end of my initiations, after I had crossed the abyss, when I was working in Thamael, I was crowned with Lucifer's crown, which means it was completed. Which means the spirit of Lucifer literally became me. So I carry all of Lucifer's power. And it was only until then when I really came to this full-on realization and full acceptance of, oh, so that's why there's haters. And it's not even just an acceptance. It's like a, please, hate on me. By all means, hate on me. And if you think I'm joking, if you think it's not real, if you think I'm not telling the truth, then find out. Regardless, I know what's happening. And I know the energy dynamics that are taking place. And if you feel the urge or the need to hate on me, then there must be a certain level of energy that I can use from you, if that's the case. Because once again, I know what I've done in my development. So I'm not starting problems or issues or challenges for myself that aren't needed. I'm not in that mind frame. I don't do that. Now, if something's going to challenge me while I'm focused on my evolution, then that thing must be the next step for my evolution. It must be, energetically speaking, needed for me to keep moving forward. So by nature and by my intent, I'm very aware of who hates. I'm very aware of when people cross boundaries with me. And it depends to what level you cross those boundaries. Some people I will take action. And I have. And I've eliminated them. there was a YouTuber that threatened me on my own channel, and it was a week and a half after he threatened me, and I took action against him, and he ended up deleting his whole channel. Gone. His name was Elric. I didn't even know he really had his own channel, but apparently he had his own order called Order of Defined Darkness. I think it was like ODD or something like that. And if there's one of my videos in the past where he threatened me on my own channel, and then I told him, try me. And then a week and a half later, he got exposed for, I believe, sending naked pictures of his penis to a woman who didn't want it. And that was directly in correlation to the ritual that I did to him with the spirit that I used on him. And now he has no channel. So there's times where I will take action. And that is just one minuscule time, right? That was just a public example. I've done this many times, and I target, like, that guy that I'm talking about, that was like a little tiny tail of a shrimp, the part that you don't even eat, compared to what I usually take care of in regards to my enemies. That's not an enemy. That was more so an appetizer that you don't like, so you just throw it away instead of eating it. And it was cheap anyways. My enemies are more so in the realm of people that are actually controlling reality in a way that I don't like. Because I don't want to live in a reality controlled by people that are infested by chaos. Rather, I would want to destroy them and then destroy all the chaos entity that the mass collective has been infested with, and then reprogram it to my liking in regards to a society that is more in alignment with evolution and source. That's what I like. Turn everything to sublime good for myself. And that naturally affects other people in a much healthier and balanced way. So that's what I do. And people that, once again, are in the realm of working against me in those regards, those are my real enemies. Okay, so this understanding that I've been explaining throughout this video has been the reason why I don't get affected by haters. Because once again, if you're hating on me, then you're signing that contract with me. And if you're signing that contract with me, you're now opening yourself up, psychically speaking, to be an energy generator for my evolution. So that's completely fine. And the reality is that there's always haters. So energetically speaking, there's always going to be somebody that's suffering and somebody that's evolving. It doesn't matter who you are. There will always be someone suffering and always be someone evolving. So this is a very prime example of Luciferianism operating throughout all of our lives daily. I mean, I'm sure you listening to this can mention somebody right now that's suffering and someone that you know is connected to them that's evolving. And I'm not saying that when you're evolving you don't suffer, but what I'm saying is that some people choose to be the sufferer. They choose to be suffering, let's call them suffering generators, and then the other person chooses to be on the path of evolution. Which means that their suffering, if they do suffer, which they will be pushing them further and further into their self-development and their evolution. But then the other person suffering is just suffering. They're not moving. They're just suffering. Which one do you want to be? Which road do you want to choose? Because I chose the road of achieving source, and I did. And it was not an easy path. It was not an easy path. That's all I'm going to say. It's not. It's dangerous. And it is extremely challenging. But I did that, and I've always had that intent to do that. and I made every sacrifice that I needed to make sure I was successful. So now I'm at the point where I can make a public video explaining how I see someone who hates on me. And by me explaining the energy dynamics of what happens when someone hates on me, hopefully it gives you a little bit of an idea of why haters are necessary and how you could potentially view haters from now on, rather than trying to control them, or rather than trying to create a reality, a false reality, where there are no haters. So maybe this video and what I've been sharing will be able to offer you some extra value for your evolutionary journey. And that's going to wrap it up. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit the thumbs up. Also hit the notification bell because I post videos as often as I can. And hit the subscribe button because I love to see my subscribers shoot through the roof. And definitely make sure you go and you check out my Patreon. So where you're going to be able to find my Patreon is if you go to the description of this YouTube video, click that drop down. Excuse me. It's going to be that very first link at the top. It says my Patreon right next to it. Now on my Patreon, I have exclusive content, and none of this content is actually on my YouTube channel. And what I'm teaching now, I'm literally just starting to teach this, is actual occult training in regards to the steps that you need to take, demonstrating it myself, giving you all the information and the tools that you're going to need to develop your power in regards to low magic. We're going to start with low magic, then later down the road I'm going to be teaching high magic, which would be achieving source, but we're going to be starting with low magic. So I'm just starting to teach low magic and everything you need to know on how to use it and how to apply it and how to develop your low magic power, which is actually going to prime you for when you decide to go down your journey of high magic, if that's what you do. So this is literally magic training that is on my Patreon. Okay, so that's some of the content that I have on there, actual practices that I'm going to perform on camera so that you know how to do them. Okay, and I also have tons of other content on there as well. Some of that other content is going to be in regards to Kabbalah, where I'm breaking down the entire system of spiritual evolution itself so that you can understand what occult initiation even is. This is like literally the pathway of how to develop your occult power, which is connected to Kabbalah. Okay, so I break down the Sephiroth and the Qliphoth, every single sphere down to its associations, the spirits connected with it, the symbolism, and my own personal experience having initiated through that sphere myself, all on my Patreon. Okay, very valuable content. Now, in order to gain access to this content that I'm mentioning, you have to at least be a tier 2 for the exclusive content in regards to Kabbalah, some occult practices that I teach. But in order to gain access to the occult training, you're going to want to be the highest tier. And the reason for that is because it's going to change your energy body to be able to get you set up to perform these practices and get real results with the practices. So in order to gain access to the occult training school, you have to at least be a tier 3 member. But what I would recommend is becoming the highest tier so that you can really get the most access out of it. Once again, it has to do with changing your energy field, which is a service that I perform for you myself so that you can make sure that you're getting real results with your practices, because I'm going to teach you how to activate or how to charge or wake up your crystals, which are some of the most important tools that we're going to be using in our practices. And in order to do that, you need to have a certain level of energy change to you. Okay, but I'm also going to be promoting another pathway or opportunity that you can take to potentially buy crystals and all the tools you need that are already pre-charged, but that's going to be a lot more expensive than my tiers. So definitely look into that yourself. Once again, just go ahead, skim through the tiers. with that being said, I would like to give a special shout out to the highest tier members of the Patreon. Their names are going to be mentioned right below that Patreon link. So huge shout out to you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm excited to go through this training with you. And then the next shout out is to all of my Patreon members in general. I appreciate all of you as well. And then a third shout out to all of my YouTube subscribers. I appreciate all of you. Okay. Next thing is, if you would like to book a tarot card reading with me, check out the second link below. That's going to take you to Square Appointments where you can book your reading. Basically, I do a very in-depth reading where I can literally locate where you currently are, where your spirit currently is in regards to your initiatory journey. So one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that the Kabbalah itself is within the DNA. That's why when you look at the tree of life and the spheres associated with it, it literally looks like the DNA strand. And that's symbolic because it's representing, it runs through the blood. So to be going through your Sephirothic initiations, you don't need to really understand necessarily ritual. You don't need to know, you don't need to be performing magic with a wand and with a robe and all that stuff to be progressing on that Sephirothic journey. Rather, it starts from intention and wanting to improve yourself and wanting to understand your higher potential. So that's what starts you on that journey. So basically what I'm saying is, from the readings I've done so far, which is around 50, I've been able to pinpoint where every single person is located on that tree of life. And that's very valuable. So I can tell you where you are, I can tell you what to expect in your near future, and then what's coming for your long-term future. So if that's something that you want to take advantage of, definitely check out that second link below in the YouTube description under Square Appointments to book your reading with me. But other than that, that's going to wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day or night wherever you are, and I will see you on the next video. Peace.